Hey everyone, it's Rihanna and welcome back to another video. Today I'm finally going to be doing my review on Quentin Tarantino's 8th film, The Hateful Eight, which takes place in the dead of winter in Wyoming just after the American Civil War. It bases itself around 8 seemingly strangers, some of them bounty hunters, some of them notorious murderers, who have to take refuge in a cabin after a blizzard wipes them out. And as we start to learn a little bit more about the Hateful Eight in this film, we learn that some of them know each other, some of them have heard of each other, and as tensions begin to rise, of course Quentin Tarantino has to bring the violence. Now I was highly anticipating the Hateful Eight because I am a massive Quentin Tarantino fan. I love his dialogue, I love his writing style, I love his characters, I love the violence in Quentin Tarantino films, and I love how overdramatic and over the top they are. They are just such a good time. So of course I was highly anticipating his 8th film, as I was just really looking forward to going back into the world of Quentin Tarantino's mind. For a change, I'm going to get what I didn't like about this film out of the way first, because there's one main problem I had with The Hateful Eight, and that is the first hour of this film. It's a film that's just under 3 hours long in runtime, and the first hour honestly felt like a chore to sit through. I was sat there like, when are we going to get to the cabin? When are we going to get to the violence? When is something going to happen in this film? And as necessary as the first hour was to introduce the characters so you know who they are and a little bit of their background and whether or not they know each other, as necessary as that hour was, I feel like me knowing Quentin Tarantino, he probably could have introduced them in half the time and just fastened up the pace for this film. I felt like the first hour was drawn out and very long, whereas I feel like Quentin Tarantino could have gone bam 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 bam, have all these characters, this is their background, they know each other, let's go to the cabin and get to the violence. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy some of the parts in the first hour of this movie, especially Robert Richardson's cinematography. The landscape shots were beautiful. I didn't see it in 70mm, but it looked gorgeous. Anyway, I absolutely loved Walter Goggins in this film, especially in the first hour. His character is just so funny, so over the top. I loved him as the future sheriff of Red Rock, which is where the characters are trying to get to in this film. And the first thing in this film I loved was the score by Ennio Morricone, which it has a western feel, it has the strings right off the bat, right from the first second of this film. You hear it and you're like, yeah, there's mystery, yeah, there's murder, I am in for a good time. Now we have that out of the way, let's talk about what I loved in The Hateful Eight. I loved the characters in this film. Since there's 8 of them, it can get really hard to follow them and remember who's who, but there are the ones that stick out to you the most. The 2 performances and characters I loved the most in this film were that of Samuel L. Jackson, who gave a great performance as Major Marcus Warren in this film. He could not be trusted and he's just an over-the-top character. I just love Samuel L. Jackson in this film. He had the best lines. And my favourite character in the film was that of Daisy Domergue, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh. If I'd have seen this film before I made my top 5 characters of 2015, she would have definitely been in that list. She's feisty, she's sassy, and she was hilarious in this film. I just love her comedic timing in this film. Jennifer Jason Leigh did such a great job. And I have to give shout outs to Oswaldo Mulberry and Chris Mannix in this film, who are just great characters, so over the top. I loved Tim Roth in this film with his fancy over the top British accent, and Chris Mannix, who's played by Walter Goggins, just gives an overdramatic, just fantastic performance in this film. These characters are not trustworthy and you don't know who to believe, and that's what I love when the story starts to unfold in this film. Some of them know each other, some of them don't, and the stories that unfold are just hilarious, and I love Quentin Tarantino's writing style in the last hour and 45 minutes of this film. I love Quentin Tarantino's writing style, I love the ongoing dialogue, but the first hour of this movie just didn't have that. I didn't feel the genius writing of Quentin Tarantino. It felt very kind of plain. And in the last hour and 45 minutes, I found it again and I was rejoiced. If the first hour of this movie had been as well written as the last hour and 45 minutes of this movie, I would have hands down adored this film. Because in the last hour and 45 minutes of this film, that is where things start to get intense and interesting, and that is where the comedy comes into play. So the first hour of this film really let that down. I didn't laugh in this film as much as I had hoped to, but I love the guessing aspect of the last part of this film. I love guessing and I love finding out new things about these characters. And what would any Quentin Tarantino film be without an enormous amount of bloodshed? I love the violence in his films, and especially this one. It comes out of nowhere and you just do not expect it, because all of these characters are untrustworthy. Anyone could shoot anyone or anyone could kill anyone, at any time. Later on in this film, when the tensions start rising, when things start to get more interesting, and when the violence comes, that is when I was most engaged in this film. When the characters finally get to the cabin, that's when the violence comes, that's when the ingenious dialogue and the ingenious story comes into play. And I was just really disappointed with the first hour of this movie. If the first hour of this movie had just been cut down a little bit or just been more intense in terms of writing with the characters, then this film would have been a full-on epic win, but it just lets it down. Of course, I still love The Hateful Eight as a film. I love the intense dialogue, I love the bloodshed, and I love Quentin Tarantino's writing style. It's just that first hour that really keeps on grinding on me, which is why I'm going to be giving The Hateful Eight just a win. The Hateful Eight definitely isn't my new favourite Quentin Tarantino movie, and I don't think it's his best movie. He has done better. Inglourious will always reign as my #1 Quentin Tarantino movie. If you guys have seen The Hateful Eight, which I'm pretty sure most of you already have, let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments, and what is your favourite Quentin Tarantino movie. If you like this review, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots more TV reviews and movie reviews for you guys very, very soon. All my social media links, including my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Letterboxd, will be down below in the description. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. That's all I have for you today. Bye!